Hi mamas, my husband absolutely killed it during our recent home birth, and so I have asked him to join us today to share his tips with your significant others if they are a little bit nervous about a home birth or just want some good advice and tips going into it. So the first thing that we should probably talk about is the space where you have a home birth. So what are your thoughts on like the room or wherever you guys decide to have your baby?
Yeah, so the big thing is organize it in the sense of, if you're like me, I have dirty laundry kind of spread out. I'm not the most organized, so...
Truth, yep.
The big thing is clean up, and if you think it's clean enough, do it again and try to remove non-necessary items out of there. Because the big thing with us is we're like, okay, we got enough stuff out of there, plenty of room. Yeah, it was clean, there was plenty of room, and of course it's like the paranoid act like we don't live here cleaning, but really it's the space that you need. So we actually had a little mini dresser in there that we thought wasn't going to be a big deal, and as soon as people started piling in, we got rid of that too. Because the big thing is, you don't realize how many people are coming in, the midwives, they might have a trainee, if you have a doula, and then also all their equipment. And they got to set their equipment somewhere, which is usually on the floor, so just that room becomes much smaller very quickly. Yeah. And so that brings me to another tip, which is dress in layers, because that room's small, but when everybody starts working and situations start happening, you want to dress in layers because you're going to get hot, you might get cold, depends on the situation. That goes for hospital births too. Yeah. I mean, you want to dress in layers because you never know what's going to happen.
I mean, ours was in April, so you wouldn't think like, oh, heat would be an issue, but he tells me it definitely did get warm in there, and you're not really going to open the windows if you live anywhere with neighbors because you're like giving birth. So yeah, I think that's a great tip.
I'm sure our neighbor appreciates that.
Right, exactly. So on that note of space, like there's a lot of things you want to clear out, but what kind of things do you think you do want to have in the room or at least nearby?
The big thing is water or something for them to drink, obviously.
And you.
Yeah, of course. But no, the blankets and pillows are a big thing because sometimes the blankets are too hot. Sometimes you want thin blankets. Sometimes you want an extra pillow over here or over there. Yeah. So just having extras of different weights of blankets and pillows around is going to be super helpful, is what I know. That way I'm not running all over the house trying to find stuff. So. Yeah.
Well, on that note, this was another tip I think you were going to share was positioning wise. You mentioned using pillows to position differently. What is different from the hospital to a home birth, and like because the equipment's different, I mean there's not a hospital bed, so how did that change things for you? You're the bed rail.
Oh, that's it. I'm the bed rail. so I'm the bed rail, yes. Didn't get that clue, but it is true. Well, from what I've learned from her, she said that it's good for your pelvic floor to pull down, right? So from our first birth, she used that rail, and she gave that rail a beating at the hospital, so...
That's a little extreme.
Yeah, a little extreme, but... Well, not really, because I had to be that bed rail, because in our bedroom, there's no bed rail, so she wanted to pull down, and there was nothing really to pull down at the angle she was at, so I sat at the top of the bed for part of the birth, and she would yank down on me, which
you did a good job.
Yeah, well, thank you. I think you're just saying that, but that goes back to the dressing in layers thing, because I got hot real quick trying to not slide off the bed from her pulling me. So
yeah, our upper bodies are both sore the next
afterwards,
day. For
yes.
sure, yeah. We're like, what? Oh, yeah, that's why.
Yep.
Yeah. So in mentioning, I think you said I was on my side when I was pulling. There are different positions that you can deliver in, and some are better than others depending on what your goals are. So if you're like, oh, I didn't even know there were different positions, there's a video. You can see that above. You can click on that, or I actually have a cheat sheet, a free download in the comments description. You can download that too, and that'll kind of give you some ideas of, oh, like what if she delivers in this position? How could I prepare for that? Because you never know what position you're going to end up delivering in, but you want to like kind of mentally think about that in advance.
Yeah, definitely. That brings me to another tip, which is if you know kind of the different ways your wife might cope with laboring and the pain, like she liked the bed rail, kind of prepare for that.
And how you can help.
Yeah. If it's your first birth, maybe learn from your birth class and try to bring that stuff in so that you as the husband can help out as best you can.
Yeah.
So, and that actually brings up another point that I was going to bring up was, again, every birth is different, right? Different coping mechanisms, different stuff like that. But as a husband, be ready for seeing your secret garden's not going to be so secret down there.
Yeah, kind of see it all.
So, yeah, you're going to see it all. Well, that's the good thing about the home birth is you can be as active as you want in it. I have a background in science biology, so I kind of wanted to be a part of it. And even at the hospital, they let me be somewhat a part of it. But if you're having a home birth, and midwives, they might even say, hey, you want to catch the baby. I didn't venture that far.
Yeah.
I was more coping or helping her cope and making her comfortable. But I was right there in the action. I easily could have, but I was going to leave it to the professionals on that
right.
one. So.
And just a note on that is you might want to hire a doula if you're thinking that you don't want to be super involved, whether you're hospital or home birth, because there's only so many staff, and so if you don't want to be holding a leg or
That's a good
really
point.
Involved, maybe a doula would be a good investment for you.
Yeah, because like you said, there might not be enough manpower there to be able to help with everything. And like I said, during our second birth, I was at the front for half of it, being that bed rail. She was yanking down on me, but then we actually switched roles, and I was able to help hold the leg to make sure you got comfortable when she switched positions. So
Yeah. Speaking of doulas, another tip that you were going to share was that they can help maybe with some photography. What's your tip about that?
Absolutely. Yep. So like I said, you want to avoid running around the house as much as possible. She's going to be taking all your attention, right? And you're going to...
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's a good thing, right? But yeah, you're going to be giving her as much attention as possible, trying to make her comfortable, because she's going to be that warrior during that time. So the big thing is to know that beforehand and hand that camera off if you want pictures.
Yeah.
At first we were like, oh yeah, it might be good, whatever. And one of the midwives actually suggested it, and man, she took awesome pictures.
Yeah.
It was one of the ones that wasn't so involved at that time, so she was taking great pictures, captured some beautiful moments, and it was really good that it was something I didn't have to worry about,
Yeah.
So if she wants pictures, know that you're probably going to be so busy that you're probably not going to be able to get ones.
Yeah. You can always delete them if you don't like them. So
That's true.
Not a huge deal. But it is kind of fun to look back at the memories and especially I didn't remember necessarily everything that happened in such detail. So cool to have a picture.
I was
of it.
like, photos? Why are you gonna want photos of this?
And don't worry, they're not all of the baby coming out. I mean, that's not really the moment you're trying to capture.
That's why I was so hesitant on handing her the camera. I'm like, I don't know if I want this. But then I saw the pictures she took afterwards, and they were awesome. They're just they can pick up on good angles and different stuff like that. So it was really cool looking at those afterwards.
Yeah. Some other things, not necessarily about birth, but just in preparing in advance. Let's talk about the day of the birth. Were you just staring at me the whole time, or what
Just
can
waiting.
What can a dad do?
You.
Because at the hosptal, you're watching TV, or I don't know, you're stuck in the room though. But at home, you have some options. So.
Oh yeah, I had a big honey to-do list. No, I'm just kidding.
That he made for himself.
Yeah, exactly. I have a hard time sitting still, and so I had a list, but I made sure to prioritize it. So if you're like me and want to get stuff done and not waste a minute here and there, even though I should be paying more attention to you.
It's okay. I didn't need you to stare at me.
I wanted to be readily available to be able to support her. So I adjusted that list and prioritized certain projects that I could stop quickly. You know, even like a workout close home, like to be able to, just in case she needs me still. But that was the great thing about the home birth is it was a beautiful sunny day out. Do a workout if she needs me, she can just yell, and I'm back in. You know, the windows are open. So, or any smaller projects, but you want to avoid like replacing a head gasket on a car or something. Mm-hmm. You know, a big project that you're going to be greasy or stuck in the middle where you start, you can't stop type of deal. So you want to make sure they're little projects or different things
home,
like that.
So you're reachable.
Yes, yeah. Don't mow the lawn because it might be too loud,
well,
right?
If you have a 1960s lawnmower like we do, then yes.
Yeah, I think I suggest that, and she's like, that's probably not a good idea. I probably can't get a hold of you, so.
For sure. So at a hospital birth, the nurses are coming and going. They're kind of running the show, telling you like what's coming next, what you need to do, what mom needs to do. What would you say the dynamic is? Who's running the show at a home birth?
The mama, for sure. That was the big difference. One of the big differences I noticed was they really listened to her whenever she the big one was when you were having contraction and you're like, nobody moved and everybody froze. But that was very helpful. The big thing was they listened to you. They really took in consideration the needs that you had. Yeah. It was very
mom-centered. Yeah.
Definitely mom-centered.
Yeah.
Definitely mom-centered. So
even one thing we noticed that was different is that when they came, so at the hospital you don't really get to, everyone is there the whole time, but in a home birth it's kind of like you tell them when you think you need them so they can be there as long or as little as they need to be. So definitely kind of whatever mom feels is best.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've kind of talked about the topic of when do the midwives come. So who decides when the midwives come? How did we decide?
Yeah, we, right? Yeah, so with the contractions, every birth is different is what I'm learning. I'm not a pro at this, obviously, but I'm learning. And one of the things I know for sure is that she has a hard time of, I guess, almost like a denial, like, you're just, they're not close enough together, or my tracker app is saying that it's farther apart, or the average time isn't quite there. And what happened is I kind of picked up on the intensity of it, and I'm like, okay, these are getting pretty regular, and she seems to not be able to, we were watching Netflix, and you wanted the TV off
like
when
pause,
so no noise, no whatever, when she was having a contraction. And so when she started having those pretty regularly intense, I was like, I didn't trust that tracker app anymore. I told her, I was like, I don't care what you do with the tracker app. To me, it's way off, whatever. I'm starting timing, good pencil and paper, and I started tracking times. And that seemed to be a good indicator for me that I was able to communicate with her, like, I don't know, I think we should. And so, I don't know, you tell us.
That's one thing that we learned is my contractions never really get really close together. Like, they were still 5 minutes apart or so when I was dilated to 10. So,
but I think the intensity kind of gave a clue.
So that's what we were looking at more than the timing of them, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And And I mean,
so he actually decided to call the midwives. I was still saying I think we have lots of time, but especially being it was the second time, he knew like this is kind of what happened last time. And sure enough, 2 contractions later, my water broke and it was go time.
yeah,
so.
and luckily the midwives could kind of hear it in her voice too. And especially with second birth, some of them actually left before she even said to come. So
Yeah.
luckily a lot of them were on the way already,
Yeah.
so that was pretty neat.
Yeah. So when it comes to like food and nutrition and what snacks, what's your advice on that?
Well, I'm not a chef, so I know she likes the RX bars or like different healthy granola bar type things, so have those on hand. Those were definitely helpful, just in case she needed a snack.
Right. Yeah, as
But-
a 2-year-old would say.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the other thing is be prepared, because it's such a life-changing event that sometimes you don't realize how hungry you get. Luckily, we had her sister there, and she was able to whip up some French toast, which was
One of
delicious.
my favorites. Yeah.
And glad that she was there to be able to have something ready. But if you don't have that luxury, have something like ready to go that you could have in the oven.
Warm up, leftovers.
Yeah, even just warm up afterwards. Something easy, very easy. Probably not oven now that I think of it, because you'll forget to pull it out. So
Right.
X that. Probably go with something that you could just nuke quick.
Yeah.
Or heat up real easy to be able to eat quick, and that's the big thing, is to watch out for that. So
Yeah. And what about pets? We have a dog that's very guard doggish in a small dog sense.
Yeah,
so what would you say
So
about
he
that?
likes to bark, and it's different. I know everybody's different, and depending on how involved you want your pet to be, I understand that. For us, it was more along the lines of, I knew that bark, and maybe with the midwives coming in, and he met the midwives before, but it's just that reintroduction would get him barking again.
Yeah.
So it was more along the lines of, hey, just one more thing of anxiety. So that I at that time was probably best to focus on her, and I didn't want that kind of to bug her.
Yeah.
And maybe there's something else happening and I need to take care of the dog. So that could cause issues. So, if there's a friend that could take the dog or cat or pet, and that's probably going to be a good idea to think about beforehand, whether you want the pet there or if you want the pet to be away just and visiting their friends, their doggy friends.
Right. Well, those are our tips for you. If you are having a home birth, we wish you all the best in that. And if you are going to have a baby soon, come back, because I have lots of videos about postpartum recovery. And if you subscribe to the channel and you click the little bell, it'll send you notifications and you'll know when new videos are coming out. So you can learn all the things and have a great postpartum experience if I have anything to say about it. So thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.